Welcome to TechbrothersIT. In this video, we are going to look into the call underscore UDF in a PySpark. So when we need to call some user-defined SQL function, we will be using this call underscore UDF. So here's more detail. You will say call UDF, then you will provide the name of the user-defined function, and then you will say which columns you would like to apply on. Now what's going to happen, it calls a SQL registered user-defined function by name, and useful when applying functions dynamically by use string names, and it was introduced in PySpark 3.4.0. Now here are some libraries. We are importing them, and then we are starting our Spark session, and here is my data that we will be using for our demo. So data, you can see that I have one and apple, that's ID, and then we have name of the fruit, then we have second record, that's 2 banana and 3 carrot, and here DataFrame is created, the df spark.create DataFrame data, and then name of those column ID and fruit. So carrot might not be considered as fruit, or maybe considered, I don't know what you consider as vegetable or fruit, but anyways, I have put the carrot here. Anyways, now you will be able to see this data frame. If I will execute this code, it's going to show us ID and fruit. So ID 1, 2, 3, and then fruit, apple, banana, and carrot. Now let's go ahead and take a look how will we be creating or registering the UDF and using it. So here you will say spark.udf.register, and that's how you will be registering a user-defined function. And here you will be providing a name of that function. I call it double ID. So if you see that I have ID 1, 2, 3, what I want to do, I want to multiply this ID by 2. So I call this double ID, and here's my logic. So lambda x, and x that input it is going to get is going to be multiplied with the 2. And in this case, you already know that I'm going to use the IDs. So 1, 2, 3, and those will be each will be multiplied with 2. And what it is going to return us, it's going to return us an integer type. So once our function is registered, then we can use it. Now we say df data frame equal to df data frame dot with column. So it means we are adding a new column and saving into this same data frame. So we call this ID double, that's a new column we are adding, and the call UDF is used to call this new function that we created called the double ID. So right here, so this one is a registered UDF, and we are calling this UDF by saying call underscore UDF, and here is the column on which I would like to apply my logic. And remember the logic we have inside, that's x multiplied 2, that's mean input multiplied 2. So we are providing ID column. So in this case, it's going to be each ID will be multiplied with the 2. Now we have df dot select, that's selecting the column, so ID column, and then we have a double ID. We can also select this column as well. So we will see, this is just helpful in taking a look. So now we execute this, and we are registering our UDF with the double underscore ID, and then using it to call underscore UDF. So we were missing a comma here, and let's execute the code again, and we should be fine now, and we should be getting our results. So here it is, and you can see that we have ID, and then we have fruit, and then we have another column called the ID double, that's multiply this ID with the 2. So you can see that 2, 4, 6, and we use this double ID function that we just created right here, and then we registered. Now let's go to another example, and in this example we are going to register another UDF for the string value, and spark.udf.register, and then what will say added word. So I'm giving this name. You could have simply say that we can call it UDF underscore or something if you want to just make it more clear. So I'm gonna just copy this and just use it here. Okay, so now you can see that we are registering a UDF added word, and here's my logic. So lambda s, that's our input. S is a variable that we are gonna get the value from it. So every time we pass the value, and then what I'm doing, I am adding a word called tasty, and then whatever the string value will pass, that will be added to it. So then output will be string type. So each time we call this function, what's going to happen, for any value or column we will provide, then a tasty word is added to each of the value. So here I'm saying df equal to df with column, so fruit tasty, and that's a new column we are adding here. and calling a UDF. So call UDF, which UDF? This UDF that we just created, actually registered above. Now UDF added word, and we are providing this fruit. Okay, so remember that S right here, so it's accepting our this string type here, and then we are adding this word to it. Now we are selecting df select fruit and the fruit tasty column. So that's what we are gonna get from here. So let's execute, and for each of the fruit, a tasty keyword is added to it, as our function was adding in the logic. Now let's go a little more detail and take a look. Here I was just doing single line logics. We're using lambda function to add those logics. Here I'm gonna go a little bit more, just two liner. So you said you're defining a UDF right here. So you say def and then provide the name of that function you would like to create, and then the input parameter. So name is input parameter, and then it is returning as a string. So that's the syntax you will have. Now this function will accept a string value parameter that could be variable or a column, and then it will check returns long name if length of that value will pass is greater than 5, else short name. So that's what is going to return us. So now let's go ahead and register our function that we just, or UDF that we just created above. So spark.udf register, and here's the name you will be providing. So this is how you are registering this function. So this is the name of it. If you want to change this function name here, you can do it, but this is the name you will be using to call this function. Now in this case, if I would like to say, hey, I want to change a little bit, say different, so yeah, you can do UDF. So anytime I need to call this function next, I will be using this name, and this is actual function that you just created here, and it's going to return the string type. Now if I will be using it further, in this case I have to use it here, so I'm going to change it. Now you can see that once the function is registered, you will be calling that function. So df equal to df dot with column, adding a new column called length category, and the call UDF is used here to call this newly registered function that we just created on top, and then we are applying this function on column called fruit. So once it is going to take the value of fruit, is going to take a look inside the logic what we have. If the name length is greater than 5, it's going to return us a long name, otherwise it's going to return us short name for that fruit. And then we have df select, we are selecting a fruit column, then we are also selecting length category column that we just added by adding this logic. So when this function is going to be called on this fruit column, is going to return us the value that will be saved in this length category column. That's how we'll be taking a look here. So let's apply this logic. So we created the UDF, then we registered it, and then finally we used it. So here is fruit, apple, banana, and carrot, and here is the length category, and this is short for apple, and long name for other fruits, depending upon the logic what we have right here. So this is how you will create your different functions depending upon your needs, and then you will use call underscore UDF to call them wherever you need to call them during this notebook. So I thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.